They are grooming each other's daughters.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one, Joe. Your daughter's looking pretty fucking...
It was like my dad had his first kid at 20.
I was eating pressed pills every weekend, fucking drinking bottles of Ice 101. Guys, just had a call with the big guy.
And you know what? He's actually gonna let you guys be equals with us.
Welcome! My aunt, her mom has Alzheimer's really bad.
Yeah.
I would kill myself.
So what if I just put my hands on your throat and just watch you while I...
See, that's not love.
But done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And I think another thing he says is, don't let perfect be the enemy of great. Or is it, don't let great be the enemy of good, or something to that effect, right?
Oh, yeah. 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink.
I think that's exactly what Dude, you can't make me laugh too hard, my rib.
How'd you bust that out?
Dude, I don't know.
You don't?
No.
Just old man fucking, because you're sleeping on the fucking floor?
I think it's because I'm sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, man.
I do wonder how many people know that I sleep on the floor these days.
Why the fuck would that matter?
Because I care what people think.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, yeah.
I think my character in the simulation is one of those characters that only gets leveled up if everyone else thinks that my character is getting leveled up.
Why would your character level up any differently than anyone else, though?
This is just the only narrative that I know that makes sense for why I'm being a dumb fuck. Yeah. No, I don't know what I did with it. I don't remember hitting it. I didn't get wasted all last week. And so it's not like I got drunk and like hit something.
Right.
I just woke up, or no, I was like working 2 nights ago, and I started like when I was breathing, I was like, ow. I felt a something pull right here. I was like, ow, fuck, dude, that kind of hurts. And by like going to bed that night after work, I was laying down, I was like, ow. And I like started like, dude, I couldn't hardly sleep. Just like every time I breathe, I would like, and so if I'd move, it would hurt.
Man.
And so now I can feel like there's soreness almost in that little muscle between the rib.
Yeah.
You know when you get like spare ribs, that like meat right in there? There must be something bruised, but I don't know how I bruised it. I don't know if it like pulled weird or something.
Sounds like you need to go get an adjustment.
It does make me feel really old. You're
like,
dude,
there's no
pulling
avoiding
the
it.
muscle in the rib,
just
without doing anything.
Yeah, you just. Well, I mean, you didn't do just nothing. You sleep on the ground.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
you're camping.
That's true. I did actually go camping.
I saw that too.
Oh, and I did sleep on the ground. Then maybe it had something to do with it. I don't know.
For sure. Yeah, imagine 8 hours of fucking. Like being contorted, you know? Yeah.
Dude, what did our ancestors do though? Like when they didn't have mattresses, that's all they slept. How did they do that?
I mean, I think we might be talking 1,000 years, because even within the last 2,000, they made like straw, mats.
Yeah. Well, they made purple mattress. The purple mattress was like 1249, I think, was there. That's when they
1249 AD?
Yeah. That's what they advertised. It's like, purple since 1249.
Since before the King James Bible.
Dude, that would be funny if you just rolled with an
We're more dependable than the King James Bible.
Dude, who's going to check you on that history? Like, you just come up with a product.
The fucking materials weren't even created. Yeah. They weren't even imagined in fucking 1289 or whatnot.
Dude, I feel like you should run an ad with your boycott shirts and just be like, the material before money ever existed.
Space aged, guys.
Yeah, like, because you're like anti the dollar. So if you're just like, before they even had the technology to print dollar bills, they had the systems in place to build this t-shirt.
Oh, I think, what does that have to do with purple mattress?
No, I was talking about how you could just Pretend like you're.
Or you could go. I could go back in time to all the famous boycotts.
Yeah, boycott the dollar.
Gandhi,
since
Dr. Martin Luther King,
since BC, since like 850 BC.
Yeah, the first boycott of recorded history.
Right, and so you just
this guy was tired of fucking sheath and fucking wheeze. Like, you know what, guys? I'm fucking done with this shit. Hey, Bob. What do you think would happen if we just stopped working today?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's try it. Yeah, man. Let's go drink some beers.
Yeah.
Then they get fucking hung. I think no. Back then they get crucified.
Yeah. Dude, fuck. Hung like Jesus.
Well, who knows, man? I mean, I don't know, man.
But you know when like there is an ad, like there'll be an ad for a certain product, and they'll be like, this company since 1845. And I'm like, damn, dude, they sound legit.
Dude, you could file a fucking, FTC claim if they were lying.
Yeah.
But Wells Fargo, since 1879, we're transporting your gold across the fucking land. Okay?
Yeah. But if you're like Wells Fargo, you probably can't get away with it. But if you're like a small company, you're just like, boycott the dollar.
But if you get found BC. Out, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're just like, dude, we have been boycotting since 850 BC. And you point to that fucking guy.
Yeah, no, he was part of the team.
Okay, this idea is not going to work. I'll come up with that later. Yeah. I'm just spitballing here.
Listen, I'm spitballing with you. I'm right here with you. I think it's a good idea.
Dude, the branding is incredible.
You think so?
I think so.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that like just saying boycott like gives a curiosity.
Right. It's a very bold word.
Yeah. So even if people don't know what they're boycotting, they're like, oh, what are we boycotting? Yeah. And if you put a little government speak into it, people are like, yeah, fuck the government. And so then you get like, yeah,
fuck those guys.
This shit.
Yeah, especially now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, oh my God. My grocery bill fucking doubled. Yeah, fuck these guys. That's the point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really good.
It's a powerful tool in a revolution.
Yeah.
Just stop doing what they're telling you. What's worse that could happen?
We get crucified.
Fuck it. You're in the back seat. What could happen?
Yeah, I mean, we would just start over in our simulation.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, I guess the fear would be fear of, if that were to happen, you get crucified, is that you leave behind all that you're attached to in this life. Yeah. Family and friends, mostly, Wow. That's the fear.
I feel like, in all seriousness, my fear of death isn't, I don't think I have a fear of death as much as I have a fear of, like, the growing old / pain and suffering of how death will happen. So if it's growing old, I'm afraid of like getting feeble, being taken care of. Like this is just like a more personal fear, or like not being in control, just suffering and not having any like, say in the matter. If I was just to like, as I grow old into existence. Or if it was like, fear of, okay, somebody takes it, like if you die in a very violent way, you're like, well, I'm actually afraid of just like getting hacked to bits, or like zombies, or starving in some sort of, chaotic environment. Like that shit scares me.
You actually consciously think those things?
I don't really think about this on the day to day, like as I'm laying on my garage floor. It's not like I sit there and think,
God, I hope I don't get fucking chopped up tomorrow.
Yeah. But if I were to think about it as I got older,
fucking like, Freddy Krueger comes behind you.
Yeah. But I don't. But I don't really think about like, I'm not afraid of what happens after death.
Right.
Like, because a lot of people are, especially in the religious context.
Sure.
That doesn't like give me any like pause as much, because I do more lean into like we're probably going to start another consciousness or go somewhere else and start again. But yeah, I'm like, ooh, the unknown now is just like, how do I slip? But I guess this is probably the most that I've thought about this in the last 6 months. Like I really don't talk about it that much, but if I were to talk about it, that's kind of where I would find my fear.
I mean, me and my family, we've talked about it my whole life, is that, if someone ever becomes incapacitated or a burden, it's Here's a handful of pills. I would kill myself.
Yeah.
I'd eat a handful of pills, you know?
If you were to kill yourself in a handful of pills, say you're at that age. I don't know what that is. Say you live to the ripe old age of like 90.
I don't think the age matters. It's like you were saying, if I can't walk,
right,
or there's my aunt, her mom has Alzheimer's really bad.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, what's the point of they don't even remember they're alive. They don't remember their story, their memories. So it's like, and the exorbitant price of keeping them alive. Like you're not seeing her. Who's keeping her alive?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that at a certain point, hey, if you have a degenerative disease or something like that, and you choose, even before when you were conscious, just like they do now, power of attorney, or do not resuscitate or any of that shit. Same thing. It's, hey, if I get to this stage of my life where I have debilitating dementia, then put me in the chamber.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I hope that I would get to be there when my parents or my grandma crosses over. I hope I get to hold their hand, because I'm not, like you're saying, I'm okay with death. And I do, the only logical step for me is reincarnation. Yeah. And hopefully they would reincarnate as one of my kids.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So, So what, I also agree. I would be into that as well. What I'm saying is, or what I was going to ask you is, if you were in that position where you're like, okay, I feel like it's going to be my time. I would like to cut the cord. It's done. Like, I've lived my life, feel good. How would you go about it, like, relationally? Would you?
I would just tell them.
Would you talk to your
invite
kid?
Noah over?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to do this.
Hey, yeah. So I think it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, 100%.
And then if you had a few people that push back, would you be like, you know what? This is my decision.
Fuck yeah, I would. And who's going to push back at that point? If I'm 80, who's alive?
Yeah.
My parents would be dead. My grandma's dead.
I would think more of, like, say, kids or friends that are younger. I'd be like, dude, it's my time. And, like, I want to go. That's how I would do it personally. I was thinking about that a lot too, because when I say a lot, I mean in the garage. But
yeah, I wouldn't care what other people's opinion. It's my decision.
Right.
But I want you to be there.
I would want to say goodbye. That's like, dude, I love you.
I hope the goodbyes wouldn't have any sort of discontent to them at all. But if they do, then that's not me. Mm-hmm. That's you. You're having a reaction. I'm here to actually respectfully tell you, hey, my quality of life is now to a point where I'm just taking up space. The equation doesn't work anymore. So let me take a nap while everybody's at the house watching fucking TV. I take a nap and I don't wake up again.
Yeah.
And then everybody moves on.
Yeah. Actually, my dad told me this last time I was home. He was like, dude, I don't ever want anyone to take care of me.
Yeah, no way.
And I understand that. And I mean, he's a little prideful, but I also get it. I'm like, dude, like, I don't want to exist where I'm a burden on everyone else, right? So, to this point, it would be a good conversation for me to have with him. Be like, dude, I support that. So whenever you feel ready, though, talk to me.
Yeah.
Like let me help you facilitate something where you're like, yeah, okay, I do want to go.
Right.
Like, because I don't want him to go out back in the woods and shoot himself before I'm ready. Like, okay, cool, you want to go? Well, like, at least let me come say goodbye.
And that's messy.
Yeah, dude, I want to clean that up.
Exactly. Yeah, a body's a fucking... Talk about a burden.
Yeah.
You didn't want to leave a burden. You left me with this fucking body to deal with?
Yeah, I would rather take care of you for a few years and clean up that fucking mess, Dad.
Or the handful of pills, and I had you blew your head off. What am I going to tell Aunt Susan?
Yeah.
You fucking... It's a closed casket? You're selfish.
Dude, I had this idea. I don't know if this would work. It was just an idea, but an idea to talk somebody out of suicide. And this is like at a younger stage. So my idea, I don't know if this would work. I'm just spitballing this. But I'm like, I support you. In fact, I think that if you want to die, one thing that I've always wanted to do is kill somebody. So
let's write up an agreement.
So if you want to die, will you let me be the one to off you? So that way we can plan it together. So then then we plan it. Okay, so how are we going to get away with this? So we go somewhere else, like another country on a trip together. I get to shove you off this cliff, whatever. Like, so all of the planning that it takes to do the suicide will inevitably give them pause and thought and all this stuff. And
I'm going to get pushed off a cliff.
And then they might realize, like, dude, I have this guy that loves me so much that, like,
that's not love. You're saying I can't wait to kill you.
I'm just saying it for them, so that way I'm helping them.
Oh, okay. You're trying to come off as a place of support?
Yeah. But then they realize I love them so much that I'm supporting them that they're like, you know what? Life is kind of nice. Like, maybe I don't want to do it. Because a lot of times when you do when you make the decision for suicide, it's still a spur of the moment thing. It might have been coming, but if you would have just waited for another year, things would have got better.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, fuck. Things aren't as bad as what I thought it was, and that little low. So my idea is like, okay, yeah, let me support you. Let's plan it. Let's do it. Let's do it right. And then
I think there have to be conditions. Like if it's mental health with depression or something like that, then no, you don't get to. But like it has to be age restricted, meaning that you have to be in the last fucking quarter of the game.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in the last quarter. You got 50 seconds on the clock, but you got a broken leg. Or,
we're subbing someone in.
What kills most people is breaking the hip. Old people, you break your hip, you're gone. So once you break the hip, it's like, oh, you're out for sure.
Yeah.
Guess where your next stop is? Up to Canada to sit in one of the old sleep pods. Fucking permanent sleep. Like you ain't waking back up, Grandma.
Yeah.
So something like that. Dementia, like something where it's... the chances of a miraculous return are so great. You've talked to your family, you consent, everyone consents, and then I'm with you. A certain frame of time, 90 days, let's say. 90 days, and at day 90, you're like, yeah, I've been counting down the days.
Yeah.
I'm fucking ready to go.
Yeah, because I do think that people make some spontaneous decisions. And you're like, if you were to think about that for a little bit of time, you might second guess yourself. Actually, I shouldn't do that.
Right.
But obviously that story, like the story I'm telling about the idea of that's more of joking around. But I thought about this. I was like, would this work to deter somebody?
You're calling him every week. Hey, 12 weeks to go.
Yeah.
I'm excited. What about you?
Dude, my first time, dude, how about this? What if I just put my hands on your throat and just watch you while I...
See, that's not love. You are a masochist. You're thinking about, I'm going to nut while this person taking their last breath.
The thing, buddy. Like, I don't want to be a murderer, but if you're already going to kill yourself, you might as well give me that reward.
That's like playing out a kink. Listen, I don't want to do it.
But if you're already
why the fuck are you in the profession to begin with?
Dude, I've watched too much Dexter. I'm not sure.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's going to take the people that are attracted to that job.
Yeah. It's like,
no. A suicide hotline. How can we help? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, let me transfer over to Josh. I'll take care of you from here. Yeah, this is Josh. How's it going? Oh, you want to kill? No, I think that's a great idea, actually. Here, let me put you in. Okay, so what we got? October 13th. Yep. So 6 months from now, it's going to be, March 19th. My schedule's clear. I say we start planning this thing like a wedding.
Yeah.
I say we start planning. Do you want to have any guests?
I don't want to actually it's not going to actually cost you a lot. So let me.
Depending on the plan, they're like, I want to jump off the Golden Gate. But you're like, ooh, that's that's pricey. That's actually our presidential.
We have some grants. But if you want to go out in the Hawaii rainforest, we do have some grants for that.
Yeah. I can actually transfer you over to Justine, and she can help you fill out those grants. She's really good. We can actually get you passes to go into the state park. We could really make it a nice thing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, but I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
To be your death concierge.
I think you've made the right decision.
Yeah.
Call him a hotline.
I would want to die if I were you. Your life sucks. Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, after hearing your story, I kind of want to kill myself. I feel like shit.
Dude,
yeah, therapy does not sound like it would work for you.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not sure if that'll work. We'll tease that out in the next simulation. I'm not sure.
Well, it's like you were saying with the purple mattress is an idea I've had. In fact, I'd love to do it with you when the cameras is. I've got some really good ideas for infomercial skits.
Ooh.
Let me throw this by you, okay? This is like a Shark Tank. Okay? So, I got this thing called Kid Crate.
Kid what?
Kid Crate.
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 C-R-E-T-E. Okay. So, imagine this, okay? A beautiful woman saying, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to have kids. You know, it's going to be great." Next scene cuts over, lady just in disarray, hair is crazy, makeup, kids are running around like freaking lunatics. She's like, "Oh my God, I just wish someone would create something to get these little bastards under control." And that's when we got Kid Crate. And then in the next, she's all fucking done together. And in the back, they're like dog cages for kids.
Oh,
so you put them in the Kid Crate. Hey, going on vacation. Hey, you and the husband haven't had a night out for a night out in a while? Kid Crate. You just throw those fuckers in the cage and you go out for a nice evening.
So when you say, when you're like, I wish they would create something for something, it's just not create. Just I wish they would create something for.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
They make a little adapter that you can put into the tow hitch of your car, so that the crate sits on the outside of the car. So you know those fuckers in the back seat.
Yeah.
When are we gonna be there? They're in the back getting some fresh air.
You know how they have the little the pop down television screens in the new cars?
Genius.
Instead of in the back, they just come off like outside.
Yes.
So the crate seat.
Perfect. Like they got a little bottle of water, like a hamster.
Yeah.
So maybe a little
like this.
Cheez-It dispenser.
Dude, why didn't you write for SNL, man? This is great.
Just gold, man. Or here's another one. Baby bulletproof vest. Okay? Listen to me. Okay? Walking around wearing a bulletproof vest day to day, it's heavy, it's cumbersome, okay? Especially when you got a kid. So what we're doing is we are merging the baby Bjorn with a bulletproof vest. So let's say you're at the fucking bank making a deposit and you got the kid on there. Fucking robber breaks in. Everybody put your hand up. Well, you flip the thing up and now you got a bulletproof vest. And then the infomercial is fucking taking bullets and the baby survives.
Can you, dude, my chest hurts so bad.
Survives up to fucking 308 or something.
Can you please, in this infomercial, just be like 3 easy payments?
Yeah, of course.
$29.95.
Yeah.
Call in the next 15 minutes and get your second vest.
No,
including a baby.
The kid
for free.
No, there was this comedian on YouTube fucking 10, 20 years ago. God, I can't remember his name. Something Jolie. Dang, he sang great songs. But he had one that was you could buy a Chinese baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could buy mail order babies from China.
Dude, one thing I like, Shane Gillis, that he like started his own sketch comedy. And
Gillian and Keys.
Gillian and Keys.
Yeah.
And so like that became so successful that this guy who became can I get you down there?
Mm-mm.
Can I get you anything?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. We'll take a break. I'll get you water or whatever. In like an hour 25 exactly.
All right.
Just kidding. We do it wrong. What he got, like, so he started his own sketch. Like, so he had been hired on SNL.
Yeah.
Then gets fired for, I don't know, racist, sexist, whatever, whatever.
Asianist.
Yeah, something like that. Then he's just like, he's bad. And then he just does his own thing, creates his own sketches, builds it up so much, just has fun with it, then creates like his stand-up comedy, then gets back on SNL. Right? And then he created his whole own Netflix show. based on some of his sketches. Like, yeah, dude. I think
genius.
I think you should keep working those out.
The sketches?
Yeah, dude.
Let's do one.
Yeah, I'll be down.
Yeah, because by in the next 20 minutes, and you're gonna get the kid tunnel where you can actually click them together like a fucking hamster cage. So you could have fucking modular. You can go on vacation.
Yeah.
You and the husband go on a nice 7-day cruise while you know that the kids are safe in their kid castle, their kid crate castle.
Dude, okay, so if we were to do this, you would need like with I think the kid crate one might be easier to make as far as infomercial wise. You just need small kids and a crate.
Yes.
And you could like film that. The bulletproof one is a little more special effectsy where you're like where you need like
some squibs and a fucking we need to just go to Goodwill and get a used Baby Bjorn and we spray paint it black. So it's like tactical.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it has fucking
but then you need like
gun holsters in it too.
So should we do some like really campy like shooting? Like it's like say you're getting robbed at a bank and somebody comes in like pop pop pop, but it's just like pew 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 and then
like, there's another one hunting.
Really campy. Like,
yes, really camping. And it's like the neon fucking, hey, have you ever been out with your family hunting just because you weren't wearing the colors? Your fucking baby gets shot.
Oh my God.
Oh, don't let negligence, don't let your family down by your own selfish negligence.
Oh my God.
Get the baby bulletproof vest. So then it's bright yellow and you're out in the fucking wilderness. Oh man, I almost shot you if you didn't have that yellow vest on.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, baby bulletproof vest.
Yeah. No, yeah. I was thinking of like the logistics of filming this and seeing like how easy it would be to like pump out one of these. This is pretty good.
The kid crate would be the easiest for sure.
Yeah. And then just like driving down the highway with kids.
We'd have to superimpose them in at that. That'd be the special effects for the.
Well, what if
you want to be going down the freeway with that crate on the back of the car?
But what if you do instead, like you can do these like tricks where you have the car stationary, but you have like somebody kind of shaking the car so it looks like it's moving down the freeway, and then you just need like fast things to go, or like
maybe film on the side of the freeway real quick.
Yeah, like so something's going past it,
right?
Or
because you want to give it that Seinfeld look where, remember, they were in the car, but you could tell they weren't moving.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that feel. Because you want them to be super cheesy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Very cheesy.
Like the company's called Whammo or some shit, you know?
My buddy Luke, he's done some commercials where you'd use like you put the car in front of like a big green screen, kind of like he has what they call as, what do they call that? A psych wall? So there's those walls that are like all around.
Yeah.
This is still a little more work, but you can put a car there and you project an image on it. So wherever you're filming from in the car.
That's actually the better idea.
Yeah. But that's still a lot of work. I mean, I don't know. Right.
Yeah, we might have to wait for the travel attachment once the budget goes up a bit.
Yeah, that's true. But as long as we can put a kid in a cage, like that's all
easy. We just go to fucking Walmart, get a fucking dog cage, and we stuff one of these fuckers in there.
Yeah.
And say,
you have kids, right?
Yeah. He'll do it for sure.
Yeah.
Because you want it, again, the over the top where, like, especially my son, he's 9 years old.
Oh, yeah.
He's big in that crate. You want him to be, so they're like, what the fuck? The Cheez-It dispenser, like he's in there like a fucking little rat eating cheese.
Fits.
Yeah.
And then what if like at the end of one of the commercials we flash to like a 14-year-old who definitely is not going to fit, and he's like acting up, and I was like, it's time to get a crate.
Yeah, time to get a crate. You want to go back in the crate? No.
Dude, there's like some I heard it was like the news like last year where like there's certain families that these are one-offs, but like these fucking parents that just keep their kids in the basement for like their entire lifetime.
That's the only shit that does offend me. Those fuckers need to be.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking nuts.
What kind of
like
person
a neighbor
is this?
Discovers them at like 16 because they finally got out, and they've just been in that basement for 16 years or whatever.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah,
I mean, I grew up in a cult, but that's still mellow compared to.
Fuck yeah. I mean, but imagine, God, yeah, what goes on from a day-to-day on a day-to-day basis for that person to be captured for that long.
And then they have like no education.
Oh,
like
yeah.
They can't read or write. Like they can, they just have no social skills.
What about that one chick? Remember there was like a chick who's her mom, like she just got out. She got out and then she got married and now she got, what was her name? Fucking she looked real WT.
Was she
killed her mom. She like plotted.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
John Benet Ramsey.
Mm-hmm. I heard of this.
Oh yeah,
dude. Rogan just had somebody on that weren't in the basement, but grew up in like a mountain cult, like very secluded. And her grandfather had started the cult, and then her dad, and so like she only started experiencing like the outside world like 16 or something, and I guess met some neighborhood kids from like the neighboring town and eventually kind of left. But like,
what's that stuff you do? This is cocaine. I'd like to try me some of that.
Well, she talked about going to a movie. She's like, I'd never seen a movie.
Yeah, can you imagine that? If you're like fucking 18?
Yeah.
And you were stuck in the Appalachian Mountains for your whole life?
And never heard music. So never a movie, never music. So when she went to the movie, she heard music like recorded for the first time.
Fuck.
And cinema. You're like, what is happening? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
No.
Damn. That's wild as fuck.
We saw movies mostly about Jesus, but they're worse.
Oh, really? Like,
I'm kidding about Jesus.
Well, because like the Mormons have a lot of
Christ.
I know, but that wasn't like made by your cult.
No,
by the makers of He is risen.
Oh my god! No, our cult was like I reference it as like Westboro Baptist. You know what that is? So they're like a Baptist church. I think they're in the Midwest. In a borough somewhere. Damn.
What's a borough?
I don't know. It says Westboro, so I assume that.
Oh, I'd definitely rather be on the West Borough than the East Borough, man. Because those East Side boroughs are fucking.
So
rough.
They would go. They're notorious, like nationwide, for picketing funerals for like military or like big, like
picketing them, like
picketing, like they
stolen valor.
No, they go in like with signs, and they would like. So somebody's having a funeral, and they're like, God, blah 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 blah. And so one of theirs.
Your cult did this?
No, I compare ours to
Westboro,
this.
excuse me.
We never picketed funerals, but we still had like the same beliefs.
Like people that would picket like Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, they would do stuff like that, but they would picket military funerals. They would do like some like pretty extreme stuff like that, and they would hold signs like "God hates fags," and they'd just be out there
at the fucking military funeral.
They would have 5-year-olds holding "God hates fags" signs at certain events.
Wow.
And so
that's wild.
Actually,
that's
I think Rogan had one of the girls who was one of the sign holders. She's like, I was that 5-year-old. And then she grew up and she eventually left. And so like her story is pretty fucking really wild. You know, like this kind of like walking outside. But like when you so we're similar to that, except we never picketed. But we had a lot of teachings that were very similar.
What were the teachings that were like that? How did the teachers vary, or teaching scriptures vary from like the King James Bible or the Old Testament?
So we use the King James Bible, but the way that I feel like it was culty is like we had our own community. It's like 30 families, 30 to 40. I mean, I don't know exactly the number, but like the same number of families. They had started a church. And then, like, we just disassociated kind of from, like, the rest of the world.
Your cult did?
Yeah. And so when I was, like when I went to school, I went to a school that was run by the church.
Of course.
So the church runs the school. And so, like, anytime that you would be like, oh, yeah, I met a friend. He, like, is in public school. Though I would just be warned, like, hey, be careful. Like, we don't really associate with... That's the world, like that the devil uses them.
It's like an M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, it's a little bit like The Village.
Yeah. Don't go beyond the fucking bushes.
Like, not as extreme as like we literally hid from them, but
right.
very similar. Like a lot of people didn't really associate at all. Like we didn't go to public school. We didn't have friends outside the church. Everything was like contained. So that way you can control the narrative.
Right, of course.
And so you're like, yeah, this is right. This is wrong. Nothing like too crazy. Like, I mean, we had some pedophilia and stuff, but like nothing, wild.
I mean, that's the wildest.
Yeah.
You guys actually did?
I was kidding, yeah.
Oh.
No, I was kidding about that. That is wild. We did have that.
You did?
Yeah, my grandfather's a pedophile.
Oh, shit. Yeah, on the list?
What do you mean the list?
He's on a list?
He's dead, but he is. Yeah. No,
so he got out before they made lists, before the computers.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, and this is known. My sister and I have talked about this on this podcast and stuff. But
I see this internet coming around. I gotta get out of here. I get busted before I get before I'm the next diddler.
Dude, I know. Can you imagine? Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty wild, actually.
I guess in my own experience,
I don't really think that my cult is exclusive to having pedophiles. I think that
definitely not. Definitely not. No. I think that pedophilia probably runs in so many different cultures.
We were talking about like the Amish and like how common it is for like incest and stuff like that, and it's very common. The more it's repressed, the more like just kind of like where else do they go? Like where do the perverts go? And then they handle it internally, so it's not like you can report anything.
Right. Yeah, the cops aren't coming. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a public-facing organization so much.
Dude, when that whole expose about the Catholic Church came out, this is probably 7 years ago. The first like big research was in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And it came out that was like a couple hundred priests that were pedophiles. That was like the first state that they really looked into, because Pennsylvania is just like the bumfuck of the rural. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe I just like predisposed to believing that because I grew up in central Pennsylvania and there's a lot of weird shit. But
when was the last time you were there?
Last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. Yeah, it's not all bad. It's like, I mean, my parents are great people. There's a lot of decent people that came from this culty environment. It's not like ever like.
Are they still in?
Yeah, it just kind of like expanded. Like they left that church.
I found a new one.
Yeah, like my mom and my dad split. So like it's kind of like you start pulling away from like everything's kind of dissipating.
Yeah, things happen that ultimately. I mean, I think that oftentimes when people take really hard idealistic stances on things, they don't realize how long life is. Mm-hmm. And the longer you live, the more wise you become sometimes. And then you have to face your own decisions like, ooh, I fucking joined this cult and I don't believe it anymore.
Yeah.
Or I don't agree with it anymore. I got to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Rather than making those really hard, solid, idealistic, decisions, I've liked to lean a bit more on that. I don't fucking know. Right. And I certainly ain't going to believe anything you fucking idiots say.
Right.
Because none of you guys are, I don't think any of you guys are anywhere I want to be. So I'm not going to listen to what the fuck you're saying.
Yeah. That's kind of how I lean too. And I mean, like my dad and my mom are still like religious, very. And I have two sisters that are very religious. But then me and my brother and my sister have kind of pulled out. And I was considered the black sheep. And there was a big separation from the family for a while. My dad actually and I kind of repaired last year when I got back. And I mean, he's still very religious, but I was like, I've held a lot of resentment. I don't want to like move into this next period of my life with you. And he's softened a lot. He used to be very hard and just aggressive. And now I'm just like, he's very loving. He's patient with the grandkids. I'm like, look at you, Dad. He's like making time. And, I'm like, look at him. He's just like softening in his age. It was very like sweet to see.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, dude, I'm a different person. And I'm like, am I going to hold on to these high school traumas forever? Or am I going to let go and, repair? And so, yeah, we're kind of on that journey.
I mean, when you tell me that story, it makes me think about like everybody has a different, healing journey. Mm-hmm. And, you and your dad had the relationship that you had growing up because there were certain experiences that you had to have to learn the things that you've had to learn, to let go into whatever it might let go. You had to learn acceptance, the opposite of, resentment or forgiveness or whatever it is. Whereas he needed to learn love. And now once he gets that through like grandkids, like you said, it softens him. So you can look and say, oh, I've gone on my own journey, just like the prodigal son. I went out on my own, went on my journey. I ate these fucking mushrooms and had all these experiences, read books, things that I know for my dad, at least, he would never. I'll never expect him to fucking eat mushrooms or to even watch half the videos I watch.
Sure.
So for me, it's, my journey's different. I'm downloading different information than he is. But we're both on the same journey of healing, of evolution, of spiritual growth. And so it's great to hear that, hey, now because he's had grandkids, which is, from my experience, kind of another try. Another try from a much wiser place sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you're not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
And he's probably not your hero so much anymore. Or the villain anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely not the villain.
Right.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Yeah, that's a good point where you're like, oh, you get another try from a much evolved place.
Right.
Because like my dad had his first kid at 20. Like I can't imagine.
I was eating fucking pressed pills every weekend, fucking drinking bottles of Ice 101.
Dude, I'm 39 and I live on my garage floor. I think I'm gonna have a fucking kid. And so when I think about my dad having 5 kids at 25, just being like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Whoa, yeah, you? What the fuck is like, right?
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah.
Holy shit.
That was one of my friend Rob, like, put it into perspective one time. He's like, did your dad beat you? I'm like, no. Did he leave you? No. He's like, cool. So he didn't beat you, he didn't leave you, and you didn't starve. It's like, he's a pretty good dad.
Yeah, what else were you expecting?
Yeah, like, what else did you want? And I was like, fuck. And you don't really think about that in the time.
Of course. But like, you've made up a story in your mind of your life, and it might not be true.
Yeah.
He might be fucking stressed.
Yeah. I actually told when I talked to my dad last year, I told him about this. I was like, dude, I had all these expectations of you, and I'm not saying you're perfect, but I was so mad at you for all of these things when you were literally probably drowning, just trying to keep everything afloat.
Fuck.
And the one time that I mouthed off and you yelled at me and like blah blah blah, and I'm pissed, and I'm like, my dad doesn't love me.
Right.
And, damn. Yeah. So it was a good perspective as I got all like, holy fuck. Yeah. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. You're sleeping on the floor. Yeah. He was fucking had a house and 5 kids. He's like, you fucking pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And he's driving to work fucking just stressed out. Yeah, dude, that's interesting perspective.
Yeah, he actually didn't drive to work. He walked uphill in the snow both
ways. Yeah. And I let you guys have the boots. I sacrificed everything. Look at this. I'm missing a toe.
Yeah.
Get black ice or what? Fucking.
Yeah, dude, it is a very strange perspective growing up. Like How are you with your parents?
Phenomenal.
Really?
Yeah, good. For sure. Yeah. I mean, same thing, no. I mean, with my dad, we had shit, but no. I mean, same thing. Having those conversations. I mean, I kind of feel like in my own experiences that the sons become the father, the fathers become the son,
Yeah.
Like more of like him asking me giving advice.
No shit.
Rather than seeking it out,
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a different... Because again, it's, hey, we're all just here to help each other anyway.
Sure.
So for me, it's like, even with my son, I try to take the position that he's not my possession. I don't own him. I'm just here to fucking try to help him until he's fucking independent.
Yeah.
So same thing.
Dude, I heard this thing. Somebody was talking about kids and how they raise them. And this is an analogy. It's like raising kids is like the longest game of tug of war, and you know that you're going to eventually lose.
Interesting.
And so you're like, you don't want to like just let them win all the way. You have to like slowly let them win this game of tug of war, and eventually they become their own. Because like, yeah, you can't just give them all the reins at 3,
right?
But you can't hold all the reins until 18 and then be like, see ya.
Here it all is.
Yeah.
Springer or
yeah,
whatever.
Dude, speaking of Amish.
Yeah, because look what. But I mean, that's also a testament to them, how the higher percentage come back.
There is a lot to come back.
Yeah.
That is trippy.
I think it's higher, much higher. I think like 80%.
I wonder what that is. I haven't researched a lot or anything, but like it does to me seem that it's like if you know one life, and then like we were talking about like hedonism, and debauchery, or what do we call it, degeneration,
right,
actually doesn't satisfy,
right,
like that alone. So if all you know is nothing, and then you go into only degeneration, you're gonna like it for a second, then you're gonna realize like, well, this isn't going anywhere really quickly because that's all you're doing. So you're like, oh, I want to go back, and then you don't have any support system. You didn't like get ease in. You didn't find people that were grounded. So that's all. It's just like all or nothing. So you're like, oh fuck. Well, I have a support system over there,
right?
And so maybe that's why you go back so quickly. And then
could be.
I don't know.
I think even the word hedonism, or from my own experience living in this world, is that the 7 deadly sins are prevalent in this culture. Whereas they value different things. And just like you were saying, is with that kid that's holding up that God hates fags, those are values. Those are principles you're teaching. Whereas with the Amish, I think they're very family focused, so family focused that you can get your sister pregnant.
Yeah.
But they're very family focused, very community focused. So their values, I think, are much more heart chakra centered than the second chakra, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Just hedonism, lust, gluttony, sloth.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that is, what are the 7?
Lust, greed, envy, sloth, pride.
I always get stuck at about 5.
Again, vanity.
Yeah. Is like murder or rape in those, or those are more like crimes?
Those would lead to.
Yeah, right, because they're not the
envy, jealousy. Jealousy might be one of the other ones. Those lead to taking the carnal action.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If you're possessed,
I'll have to look this up, dude. This is a spitball off that, but have you read the 10 Commandments?
I have not.
So I think the 7 deadly sins speak more to like the human condition, but the 10 Commandments is what we were taught a lot more about, like in growing up. And it's interesting because the 10 Commandments were, there's like 4 or 5 of them that were all about don't worship another God but me.
Right.
Like it's all about worship the God that's creating these commandments.
More than one?
Yeah.
It wasn't just thou shalt not worship false idols above me?
Yeah, there's like 4.
Really?
Yeah. So this is what's weird.
Let's look these motherfuckers
because not only is there 4, like, but so you're like, okay, so if you have 10 commands, if you're going to create 10 commandments for humans, you would think like don't murder would be one. But instead they're like, don't worship another God.
Right. And reiterate it.
And then he reiterates it 3 or 4 times. Yeah, tell me what like the basic comes up, because it's pretty wild. And this came down on stone from the mountaintop, allegedly.
Right. I mean, again, this last summer has just been such a doozy, you know, and the information I found that's just like, oh, dude, it's so obvious.
Did you find them? Oh,
All
here's the
right.
generic ones.
So I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above or on the earth beneath.
So that's
or
like a
in the...
subcategory
Totally
of
it
the
is.
first.
Yeah, idols.
Yeah. Then the third is
You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God.
another subcategory of first.
So that's where people say you don't use this word in name in vain, excuse me.
Yeah. Then the fourth one, remember my day.
That's crazy that you know them. Yeah, okay.
So,
that is the Sabbath.
No, I'm looking at it too. But,
okay.
But yeah, so like all of these are just subcategories of like, don't put anything else before me.
Right.
And then it switches on to like
mother
honor
and
your
father,
which is that's a nice one.
Of course.
Obviously,
don't
thou
murder.
Shalt not kill. That's a
don't
good.
fuck your neighbor's wife or your best friend's wife.
Yeah.
Obvious.
Don't steal.
Right.
And then don't bear false. So don't lie.
Don't lie.
And then don't envy. So the first four are all under don't put anything before me, the 100%. Guy who's creating it. Which is, and then so like, but nowhere in here is mentioned, like, for example, slavery. Like,
wow.
Don't own other people.
Wow.
And this was when people were owning other people.
Right.
So like this was like one of those things where when I was outside, I'm like, they didn't mention that at all.
Right.
But there was that. It was very strange.
Very interesting.
So, and I appreciate the 7 deadly sins a little more, like where it's just like, oh, these speak to human conditions.
Right.
Well, yeah, these are not good behaviors. Like, even if you're not religious, you can respect that. You're like, 100%. Oh yeah, like this is something I need to watch out for.
Yeah. I think people get lost in the dogma, and they get lost in trying to defend that. Oh, I'm right and you're wrong. Oh, the book that I read is right and yours is wrong. Whatever you believe is wrong. People get stuck on that rather than what's the book trying to teach you how to act. If you're acting holier than thou, but you're a piece of shit behind the fucking in private, then dude, you got it all wrong. And so for me, just the way my mind works is I would think that if any religion were the true absolute word of God, those people would be distinguishably different than everyone else. It'd be clear that what they're believing and doing is completely different, and you see that it's not. People across all boards, any believing in any religion, any fanatical, idealistic religion, they're all the same. Everybody has struggles, and what it really is it's you get, because especially those that are raised in it, it's programmed so deep into your subconscious, into your being, that those are your root beliefs. So of course you're going to defend them, right? When anybody qualifies them. That's why mine is, hey, I'm open to it. I've been researching Christianity for almost 20 years. I found zero evidence that would hold up in a court of law that Jesus, his mother, Mary Magdalene, John, Luke, Matthew, Mark, where's the body?
Yeah.
Show me some evidence. Like then I get, the cloak of fucking Sauron or whatever they're going on. That's got Jesus' face. That's like, dude, that's like the lady that saw Jesus' face in her fucking grilled cheese sandwich. That's not proof. I wouldn't hold up in court.
There's my sister wants me to read this book. It's when I was leaving the religion, I started reading a lot of anti-religion books, but all I ever read was like, we weren't even allowed to read something that would go against the narrative.
Of course.
You're like, yeah, no, like that will be the devil trying to tempt you, like you don't want to like allow yourself temptation. Anyway, so start reading Richard Dawkins, blah blah blah. Just got like went down that rabbit hole, and that's when I like kind of went full-fledged atheist for a while. Anyway, so my sister was like, I want you to read this book called Case for Christ.
Heard of it?
Right. So one of my, and I haven't read it, to be fair, but like after so much reading, this side, I'm like, well, I read this book. So what will happen is like when I would talk about this with a sister or a friend, they're like, well, have you read this book? I'm like, no. I mean, I read a lot. Like, yeah, but see, you haven't read this book. And I'm like, do you think that this book has any more information than all of these other ones?
Yeah,
that
everyone would know about that proof.
I'm like, I could read that for sure. Like, but it's going to be another 20 hours going down a rabbit hole of something I already like.
And what is a case? A case is trying to support a claim.
Right.
Again, where is the raw, solid fucking proof? If it was
so raw, it would like literally break. It would break the internet.
Again,
it would break
we
the world.
have a fucking mummified human, King Tut. We have fucking clear evidence of pyramids that have withstood the test of time. There's zero. Where's his mom buried?
Yeah.
Where's Joseph? Where's Mary? Where's their bodies? Any of them?
Yeah.
These are the most important people in human history for the last 2,000 years. There's zero evidence of any of it. And then, contrary to it, so then the New Testament was written in 1604, 1,600 years after the fact. So it's like, dude,
that was one of the things that I struggled with, like when it came out, and so I read one called A History of God, which is an incredible book. And she talks about how the different narratives of how people viewed Jehovah in certain time periods, and why like in the 2,000 years before Christ, like when they were doing the first 5 books of the Bible, there was actually like they believed in multiple gods. And that's why when the Israelites left Egypt, they were still worshiping this God. So like this was the God of
100%. It was
peace. So they all believed in so they were and so like the history of how the idea of God evolved, and then as it went in time, like the one kind of won out, which was Yahweh, which is the jealous God. And so then the writing started shifting. And then when they would like rewrite them, they would rewrite the narrative and kind of like piece out some of it. And so that was a good book. And then the other book I read was all about how the whole New Testament was formed. Like you said, it wasn't actually completely formed until years and years and years later. Like obviously Council of Nicaea,
highly edited,
etc. Yeah. This book wasn't allowed, so like they're like, oh yeah, this book doesn't really align with the narrative of these others. So like, okay, we're going to exclude this. Let's all get together. Let's decide what's best for our religion going forward. It's like,
and then what are the intentions of the people that were writing it?
Yeah.
Like what would be their intention? Exactly. Where to me, it's control.
And they weren't in talks with God. They were recounting things that had been passed down. So let's account for this, but like, let's move it into certain narrative that we want to, what are we trying to push? What are we trying to, achieve? And when that started making sense to me, I'm like, how do you trust all of these men across the course of history to tell me the perfect word of God? I was like, that's of course absurd. And so that's when I really was just like, oh yeah, this is wildly inaccurate. And I grew up in this small frame,
Well, it's also at some point you woke up and started thinking for yourself and started questioning authority.
Sure.
So like my background, I come from Salt Lake, which is Mormon culture.
Yeah.
So there's another cult. And like my parents, again the black sheep, like you said, I'm the only one that's not LDS. I mean, I got a nephew that's not, but I'm so fucking far off. But anyways, for me, it's so baffling because, with Mormonism, it's in much more recent history.
Mm-hmm.
It's only like, it's less than 200 years old, I do believe. And so we have very clear history, biographies, testimonials from people that were, the guy who translated the books with him ends up saying, nah, it was all a crock of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, the founder of the church, who was so-called a prophet, was just sleeping with everybody's wife. Then they moved to Utah, and then fucking gets these guys. They are grooming each other's daughters.
Yeah.
Saying, man, I'll tell you what, Joe, your daughter's looking pretty fucking. Dude. I think she should. Imagine this. Imagine I'm higher up.
Let's keep going.
I'm higher up in the church, and I come to you one day, and you got a 15-year-old daughter, and I come to you one day and I got more power and I got more pull in the church, and I'm like, man, I'll tell you what, Joshua, your daughter's, I think she'd make a good wife. In fact, funny thing, I was talking to the old big guy on the bat phone, and he told me I'm supposed to marry her.
Dude, the crazy thing,
and I'm gonna bang her out.
And then that guy was like,
yeah. No, can you imagine how he would feel like inside, like thinking, man, this, maybe they're so programmed that they're like, oh, wow, I'm glad he chose Rebecca.
What is crazy is like, this is more silly, but I'm like, I don't know if it's like people were less educated then, but like the ability for him, or else he was like a genius, or else he is true. But like, can you imagine?
There's no fact checkers.
Right, but like, can you imagine coming to your friends and family? There goes the ice pack. But can you imagine coming to your friends and family and just being like, like, I've got these books. This is the word of God. This is different from everything. And then they believe you. And then he's like, also, I'm going to need to take your wife.
Right.
Like, and then somebody saying yes, like the convincing powers, like the power of manipulation.
Yeah.
That like that's con artistry to next level.
Oh, for sure.
And then like to do it on such a large scale where you convince this huge group, okay, like, well, let's move over here. I mean, and then, but to continue to be like, well, I'm going to need to, your daughter, like you just said, and then to have a father be like, all right, well, if that's what the Lord wants.
Right.
And just
this 50-year-old man is about to take my 15-year-old daughter. Like, that was prevalent. And what blows me away, the point of it all, what blows me away is that people in 2024 aren't questioning it at all.
Yeah, that's kind of like just lost on the wayside.
Right.
Like,
but there's so many things like but my point is that one thing, whether it's the Old Testament, the New Testament, or, in my experience with, the Book of Mormon and all those books, is that, especially in like Mormonism, God is immutable. God's word doesn't change, but it happens to. Like, they were saying, like, black people or people of color.
That was the thing I think about.
Yeah, like these people are lower than all of us. So it's literally systemic racism that's ingrained into their beliefs. But then just
when we're about to lose our cultural hold.
Yes, exactly. Guys, just had a call with the big guy.
And you know what? He's actually going to let you guys be equals with us.
Welcome.
Yeah, we're so happy.
Yes. Don't date our daughters. Okay, we still ain't down with that shit, but
it's going to take another 100 years.
You're going to get some of the special magic powers, okay? Yeah. Well, but here's the point, is that the joke that I was getting around to was, so
we're getting canceled for this.
For sure. So recently they've been struggling with the old LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ. Yeah. And so I'm hanging out with my parents last year. I'm talking to my dad, and I mean, I just got done smoking a fat blunt. So I mean, I am feeling the Lord. And man, I swear to God, it was like getting struck by lightning. This idea just fucking hit me right in the head. And I go, dude, let me ask you a question. He's like, all right. I go, you promise you'll tell me the truth? He's like, yeah. I go, just hypothetically, let me preface this. Hypothetically, I know it's never going to happen, but what would you do if the church came on during conference and said, guys, we're letting the gays and the LGBTQRST, they're good now.
Yeah.
He's like, that would never happen. That would go against this, and this.
Exactly what they said about the blacks.
Yes, I go, I'll bet you $1 that it's going to happen.
Yeah, dude.
And he was just like, no way. Not even 3 months later, it's happening.
Dude, they're happening right now?
They just had a conference where one of the big wigs was was like putting shame on one of his ancestors for like voting against or something. So they're warming it up.
Yeah, because they go in and receive the word every time they meet with God, right? Like, don't the elders,
they have the only living prophet, and then they just happen to keep getting a prophet in their church,
and then they keep like getting a new word,
right? Yeah. So every at the spring and fall equinox, they do conference where hey, here's the new policy, here's what's going on. The big guy,
so they're prepping him to...
well, because here's what's going to happen. As the older generations die, in order for the church to stay relevant, it has to. So to me, though, because I question everything. I don't believe I'm in a simulation. So I've got to guard my mind from the bullshit that's trying to get in. So I'm questioning and I'm qualifying everything. I need to see some proof before I believe your fucking bullshit.
Right.
So for me, it's just like how more obvious can it be that it's not? It's a farce. It's made up to manipulate you. Because there's another big point, and I don't know why we're on the religious kick, but is the Mormon Church got busted by the IRS for cheating on their taxes. Cheating by like millions of dollars. Millions. And one of the accountants that works for the church, that's the whistleblower that came out and said, hey, they're cheating on their taxes. And so what they find out is they're literally sitting on billions, maybe upwards of $100 billion in cash, just sitting on it, hoarding it. So you're telling me that you guys are the only true church. You are the only church out of every one that has a prophet, direct line to the big guy.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey man, I got to talk to you about something there, big guy. We're sitting on all this cash and I don't know what to do with it. What should we do? Should we, like eradicate hunger or, fix water shortages, or what should we do? And what? We should just hoard it?
Yeah.
And invest it for our own gain?
We're saving for a rainy day.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, whatever you want.
The guy that can create miracles is still like, yeah, but we
exactly
still need to
my
follow
point. Yeah.
So, dude, I have this thing. I made this joke to Cameron and his wife once, which got me in a little bit of trouble. But I thought it was very ironic that Joseph Smith was known for starting the Mormon religion, but also having a lot of wives, and then also grooming younger women and whatever, having baby, all the stuff, having a bunch of women. And then his predecessor, his name was Brigham Young.
Bro.
And I said that, just said it like that to them, and she was just like, I don't like it. I forget exactly.
Nah,
and I was like,
classic.
But I was like, it obviously is Brigham, but it just sounds to me like
Brigham Young.
And I was like, has anyone else noticed this? I'm sure somebody else has had to notice this. Like,
I like to get them before they get a bush.
Yeah, Brigham Young. But Joseph taught me well. And yeah, it's just very strange.
I mean, I got some fucked up jokes running over in the old brain can right now.
But
they'll bring them young, dump them old.
Dude, the thing that you said about your dad, though, holy shit, that's so good. It is true. I believe that a lot of people say that religion creates morals, or God creates morals, but it seems, if you follow history, that the church always follows the cultural morals. It's behind.
Right.
So when culture says for example, we had slaves, now we don't. Now blacks are a part of society. Culture was ahead and the church was behind, and then eventually
they had to change.
We got to change. And then all of a sudden we're like, no. Now we do this. It's that's not what you guys were doing back then.
Right.
You followed culture.
Why are you bringing up old shit?
Yeah. And so now, with the LGBTQ, it's now we allow gays. So it's just the church has to follow.
Right.
Or lose relevancy.
Exactly.
So, and there are some sections of church, good for them. They stick to their morals. Nope. No, we do not allow, there's still, my church growing up, no, we're not letting women speak in church. Women are less. They stay subservient.
Oh, you guys let them even in the church house?
Yeah, right. But so like those kind of churches become more and more small and isolated.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. Irrelevant.
Yes.
And if you want to stay relevant as a big dominating force, you have to follow the culture or you get left behind.
Which tells me that ultimately all church is not real. Because God's creation does not change. Go out in nature.
Yeah.
It doesn't change. It's immutable.
Right.
We have perfect patterns. And so the fact that they have to change tells me right off the bat, that ain't God's word. I know God's word. Be a good person. It ain't that fucking hard.
Yeah.
Look, when we really break it down, there's really only like 4 commandments. It ain't that hard. Don't kill. Don't fuck your neighbor's wife.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't steal from your neighbor. Okay. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Yeah. 10 commandments can be like 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys are going a little hard on the whole worship one God thing.
Yeah, can I just teach you about simplicity? Like, we can just boil this down.
Yeah, just be a good person, man.
Dude, I gotta piss. So, how long have you been playing golf?
I mean, off and on for years.
If you're down, I need to learn. So, I don't know what the best way to learn is. I don't know if it's like driving rate.
It could be.
I just feel like I'm so nervous about going on a 9-hole.
Why?
And just hitting it off. Like, what am I gonna
Everybody
do?
fucking does.
Yeah, maybe I'm just like in my head about it.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Because I think I like the idea of the sport.
It's fun to you party.
Yeah, I like the
smoking,
idea
drinking, snorting, fucking.
Yeah. Wait, are you allowed to fuck on the golf cart?
I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Hell yeah.
I'm a grown up.
Yeah, one time I had talked to somebody about it's a good answer.
Yeah.
I talked to somebody about playing golf. I was like, never played golf. I don't know if I'd be good at it. And he's like, do you like to drink?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah. He's like, you'll be great at golf. Yeah. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, man, it's all about having a good time. And I mean, the better you get, the funner it gets.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm down to go at some point.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Yeah, I've been actually, so I have a friend in Utah. I need to talk to him more about this, but just this summer I try to kind of start like a little men's group where we'd go golfing like every Friday, or do something fun. Yeah. Just do something fun to let loose on Fridays. But my friend in Salt Lake actually ran a golf, what the fuck would they call it? Like a golf league.
Club.
Yes.
League.
Yeah. Called the Degenerates.
Yeah.
And there's a buy-in, like it's fun. Okay. It's a lot of fun. It's really engaging. Yeah. And I thought about putting it on the blockchain, so it's all crypto.
Okay.
Because there's closed because the people the founders and the treasurer fucking took all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
dude, man, I wasn't sure if I want to tell you about this, but speaking of crypto, I'm gonna tell you about it anyway.
Yes, sir.
Since you are the crypto millionaire, as I was introduced to you, last time we did the podcast, we didn't talk crypto at all, which I was surprised because coming into meeting you, I was like, this guy's just gonna like talk about crypto all the time, which I was incredibly interested in.
Yeah,
but we didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah, wow.
And I still am, but this is like one of my like darkest moments almost of like money. But I got incredibly into Bitcoin. And
since we last?
No, before.
Okay.
So I would have like this, and this all actually happened before. But have you ever heard of the podcast What Bitcoin Did? Oh.
But I mean, I've seen and heard so many.
So there's a couple that I've listened. I went deep into just learning, right? There's another podcast called What Is Money?
Oh, I know that one. Breedlove?
Yeah, Breedlove.
Yeah,
so I listened to a good bit of him. He's been on What Bitcoin Did, learned a lot about stuff. So I like got into Bitcoin at like when it had already gone up to the 20K, went back down, and then started getting back, and it was about at 10.
Yeah.
And started like really doing a lot of research and like getting involved. And I bought my first Bitcoin, and then I invested it in this like Ponzi scheme where you basically put your Bitcoin into something to make more Bitcoin and you lost it all in that.
Dang it.
So that shit happened. But I bought over the course of like the next 2 years, I got like 3 more Bitcoin at like 10 to 15 to 20. And then it goes up to like 70. And I'm a guy who like didn't have a ton of money, but I was like, dude, I'm doing well. Like this is the future.
Yeah.
And I actually still believe that. Like, and we don't have to talk about Bitcoin all day or whatever. Or we could. I really like. I'm very interested in a lot of topics, as you can tell. But so when I so I got into photography and I decided I was like, dude. After COVID, I was like, dude, the world is crazy. And I don't really, I've come, maybe it's more of a simulation theory, but I'm just like, dude, shit could end tomorrow. You know, like I'm like, I want to go for broke where I feel like I should. And I'm like, so I'm like getting into photography and I had this really crazy ketamine trip like 2 or 3 years ago. And I was just like, dude, it's not like now or never. Like just go for the shit that you want to go for. And I was like, I could save a bunch of Bitcoin for the future and be a millionaire in 10 years or like multimillionaire, or I could just go after what I want. So everything tanked. And so it was like, when it first went to 70 and then went down to like 19. And so I still have like 4 Bitcoin that was worth like 400K or 300K, inevitably only worth like 60 or whatever when it like went down. And I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep waiting for it to go down? I'm going to wait another 5 years for it to go up. So I sold it all ripe at the bottom at like 19. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to chase what I want. So I sell everything.
You spent it all?
And I just sold it.
All the Bitcoin into stable coin?
No, but I sold it and then like paid off some debts and whatever. But like, sold it all at a loss.
Yeah.
Start doing photo on it. And then I'm in it for like a year, like struggling. And somebody's like, dude, have you seen Bitcoin lately? I just like look. And it's like higher than like the top. And I was like, mother.
That's how it works, man.
Fucker. Yeah. And I mean, I obviously had already heard all the stories. And I just like, I was like, dude, I don't know how long it'll take. Because it could take 4 years, 5 years. And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. That's like one of my like kind of regrets. So now I hold nothing and I'm just like, God damn it. Like it's just so annoying. Shit. Yeah.
I mean, that's something.
No, it's not like I don't have learning lessons, of course, but like, I'm not saying this to boohoo. I don't really talk about this, but it's just like, it was a little rough. I remember looking at my accounts and I was like, dude, because I was like, okay, how long
doing the math?
Yeah, how long will it take for me to be a millionaire? Like, and I never hit that before, and I was like, I'm almost halfway there at this pivotal moment, and then now I'm just like, whoops.
Well, there's a lot of other ones.
No, for sure.
That I think have a better opportunity than Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, there's I'm not saying that I won't like get back in. Right. I believe in the blockchain and the ability to like, I like this, my buddy, or actually not my buddy, on the What Bitcoin Did podcast, the way they described it is like, it's like they lay wax over, like laying wax over a bug, I think is the example that they used. But so like every time the ledger is agreed upon, you lay another layer of wax over a bug. So the more times this gets laid over.
What's the bug?
The bug is just like the
what does it symbolize?
It symbolizes like a transaction. So if I give you $1 million and then that ledger is agreed upon today, tomorrow, the next day, the more layers is like that everyone agrees on our transaction, right, the harder it is for me to change. Yeah, that was the thing that made them, like, when it clicked for me of how the ledger worked. Because I know Bitcoin is confusing for a lot of like average people, like for myself included, I was just like, dude, well, I do not get this at first. So that was like the thing that made the most sense to me. I was like, oh, I see. It's like an agreeable thing. And the more times that layer of wax is like, okay, we have agreed on this over and over and over. So nobody can just infiltrate, dig into that wax, take that payment that I made to you out without anyone knowing, like, because there's going to be all that trace through all of those layers of wax, right?
Yeah.
So that was like, I was like, oh, so that's how it's so secure, you know, like that was just like, it made so much sense to me. But yeah, so like I have become very interested and like in tune with like the idea, and I was very sold on Bitcoin. And then there's all the other coins, and like some of them are scams and some of them are not. And that's where I like my belief starts to falter, because I'm like, well, then how do you know? And then parsing the details. And that's why I like I've just like trusted the older ones longer, because like the longer they stay, the longer they have like a reputable whatever.
Yeah.
And that's my take on it, obviously, because you know a lot more than I do. But anyway, I wanted to tell you that story.
Yeah.
Because it's heartbreaking.
Oh, fuck. I mean, I've had my fair share of heartbreaking experiences for sure. For fucking sure. I mean, I guess for your story, I would have only sold half. I only would ever like take half of a position instead of a full position. No. And then, like you're saying, is I guess my face. I mean, I've got coins I've been holding since 2017.
Yeah.
So diamond hands, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't care what the fuck happens.
And you just keep holding.
That's it, man. That's it.
For sure. And originally, when I started buying, I was like, "That's my move. I'm holding this."
But also strategies. Like so you've been in it long enough, or you've seen it long enough to see that it has these huge run-ups, then a correction, then just a fucking long cold winter, and then another jump up.
Yeah.
So if you know that these cycles are playing out, just like every cycle, guess what? Apple's done this, Amazon's done this in the late 90s to early 2000s. Fucking Amazon crashed by over 90%.
Yeah.
So all new technologies go through these. It's really just staying on top of it so that the next time it does take off, you take a bunch of profit off the table, knowing it's going to come down.
Yeah.
Then you can buy back all those coins that you sold at the top at a deep discount.
Right.
And then you got all this profit left over.
Sure.
That then you can go and do whatever.
And obviously that's ideal.
Right.
Yeah.
Easier said than done for you, that's for fucking sure.
I did learn in this latest election cycle that this is just from the news that I listened to, but they were saying that the largest contributor to both campaigns of all things, like bigger than pharma, bigger than like some of the other industries, is crypto.
Yeah.
Which means, like, whether that's good or bad, that means that this shit's not only here to stay, but like a powerful force into it. So it's just like before, it's like, oh, we're trying to stop crypto because it's anti our own thing. And now they're like, oh, fuck, if we don't embrace it, it's like the church. If we don't embrace this, we're going to lose relevance. Yeah,
because even money is a belief system.
Oh, yeah.
Because even like...
That's what I liked about the learning.
All of the money and shit. I mean, that's fuck. I mean, oh my gosh. Money.
I love that. Like the idea of like Breedlove talks a lot about what is like in the theory of what is money, and like why does it exist? Look, what are the core fundamentals? Like it has to be transferable, has to be movable. People have to believe it has value, and that's like one of the biggest. It's like, do we believe? And that's why Bitcoin wasn't valuable, or even any crypto. Is like, it's not valuable because not enough people believe it's valuable. But does it have transferability? Yes. So now we just have to make it believable. But once it becomes and all scarcity, which is a really good one, because the dollar doesn't. And that's like what I mean. Obviously, what I like about your brand, it's like, yeah, the dollar doesn't have scarcity. You just keep printing it.
Right.
And that's what I love about the theory of Bitcoin. It's just like, oh, you can't keep printing it. Just this finite little...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a new technology that's disrupting the financial system.
No.
Because at the end of the day, as we're seeing, all things done in the dark always come to light. So, like, I'm seeing a lot in my life, at least, like a lot of people putting out information on religion.
Yeah.
Just true, factual, historical proof for someone to go do their own research.
Yeah.
Another area is the actual workings of money. Like most people, it's all debt, it's all fake.
Mm-hmm.
That piece of paper that you have, or the digits on the screen, it's not even money. It's a note. It's a promise. It's an IOU.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole system's built on fraud.
Yeah.
And so something, again, that's done in the dark like that, like the Federal Reserve Act was plotted by a small group of men that did it in secret. I don't know if you've heard this, but there's a theory that all the men that were opposed to the Federal Reserve Act, they were on the Titanic.
I've never heard that.
Oh yeah.
That's
J.P. Morgan was supposed to be on the Titanic, and right before takeoff, he fucking bounced off.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there were opposing forces because central bank has been trying to get into America since the 1700s.
Yeah, yeah.
And there were presidents like, Andrew Jackson that was really against central banks and keeping them out, the Rothschilds, central bank organizations, and then finally they got in through J.P. Morgan and all these, Warburgs and all these other people that were just...
Do you think that Leo was put into the Titanic because of the banks?
I think so. Yeah.
Dude.
I think that he just had a lucky hand. From the first scene, you knew this guy is going places.
Holy shit.
Yep.
And then they sent him there to die.
In fact, not only that, but Rose, secret agent.
Oh, no way.
Oh, you know that.
Dude, actually, what's funny?
She's like, why don't you paint these? And he's like, fuck it, I'm going down with the ship.
I never watched the Titanic.
Oh, you didn't? It's a good movie.
I know it's a good movie, but when it came out when I was in high school, and I wasn't allowed to watch it because there was a sex scene in it, and so I never watched it then, and then I just never watched it. Like it just like I've seen some scenes, but I know how it goes, but I've never watched it. And it's just kind of funny.
It's not that
like there's a bunch of movies that I haven't seen as like a kid because
Kingpin.
No.
You haven't seen Kingpin with fucking Woody Harrelson? That talks about the Amish.
Yeah, no.
Oh my god.
I've heard of it, but no, I've never watched Forrest Gump.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that wasn't because I wasn't allowed. It's just
wild.
We don't watch a ton of movies, and then
did you play in a band in church?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
God, that's cool. He is risen.
Oh, dude.
He is risen.
So I went to do you know? You won't know. Maybe Hillsong College.
Definitely not.
So it's more Christian.
But that sounds lovely.
So Hillsong is one of the biggest churches in modern Christian worship music, or at least it was in the last 10 years.
So it's like a Juilliard for Christians?
Kind of. But it wasn't necessary.
Hallmark actors come out of that's where their scout is from.
Well, so this church is such a mega church, and then they would put out worship albums every year, and those albums would go global, and then all these other churches would take those songs and play them in their churches.
Now this is 90s.
but they blew up in the 90s. And
don't you remember those fucking CDs? Now this is the night they would play the top fucking 40.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that for church, and they would like come through, and so we would play songs that were written from this church.
So you were a cover band.
Oh yeah. Well, all the songs.
Oh, did they make a movie about that band from Australia?
I think so. But so I went to that school. So then I like...
Oh, yeah, because she wanted to get into... Man, I don't remember. I saw it in passing, the preview for the movie.
Well, there's been a couple like exposés / movies on them. But it's
on
just
the
like...
family?
No, well, it's a huge church. There was there was like a couple families that ran it. It's very culty as well. It's just on a large scale. Kind of like Mormons in a way, but... but they are influential in worship culture throughout all like Protestants throughout like the world. And so they would have satellite campuses all over the world.
Dang.
They have like the people are like, even when I was in high school, we'd be singing songs that were written by this church that were just influential worldwide. And then especially when I went to college and started playing in the worship bands, we'd be singing all these songs, all written and like produced from this church. So then they had a worship program. So then I went to school over there. I was like, oh, well, I'll just go learn from the best and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But
what was the experience that woke you up or caused you to question it?
I never questioned it for a long time. So I was 22 when I went to Australia, and I went. So that church is Pentecostal. And Pentecostals are known for speaking in tongues.
So why would only that group speak in tongues?
I'm not sure.
That's just like their thing?
Yeah, that's just like their staple. Like that's what they're known for. Like so for example, like
so if you're down with that,
you have all these different like sects of religion. So you have like the Methodists, the Baptists,
the
Pentecostals. There's a couple other ones, like the big ones, and then you have like spread out from there. But you like there's a few staples where you're like, this is the thing they're known for. Pentecostals were definitely known for being very animated in their worship, speaking in tongues, being like caught with the spirit, and they'd be like, you know, like and so like some of the Southern Pentecostals would just lose their shit and start talking in this language that nobody knew, and then everyone was like, he's filled with the Spirit, the Lord's talking through him.
Nah, he's just on the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. But some of them would be like more extreme, like snake charmers,
yes,
stuff like that.
What the fuck does that have to do with Jesus?
There's
playing the flute like.
There's a reference in the Bible where it says you will be able to, like, the snakes will obey your command. So then they take it as, okay, well, like, let's fucking fuck with the snakes, motherfucker.
Let's see what you got, Lord.
So a lot of, like, they'll just, like, take this one little thing. And like, well, it says this.
Let's test it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with Pentecostals, they're like, it says that we will be healers. We will speak in tongues. We will, so they're like, okay, so we're going to do this stuff, so that's kind of like how they would go. But so I went over there and I was still a full believer, and I would meet these people that were like, Jesus is like, he is all powerful, and you need to speak in his name over, like, are you sick? You just speak in his name and you will be healed.
Jesus, or I thought he had a different name.
Well, no, so you would speak, like, you would take the name of Jesus. We are children of Jesus.
Okay.
And you will use his name, and you will speak over your shit, and you'll be healed. And so we would have these... I
speak this tummy ache to go away in the name of Jesus.
That's exactly how it would go, like, in church service. And so I was just like, actually, why wouldn't that be true? Because, like, that's not how I grew up. Like, we didn't really work that way, I guess. But then when I was like, yeah, I think they kind of have it right, because God is all powerful.
Of course.
So why wouldn't like, I am his child. He would like this is from the devil. Why wouldn't I be able to speak into this?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be healed?
Right.
And so then I would start watching miracles start happening. Like, so I had a friend who was just like, I was lactose intolerant my whole life. And I was at that service last night, and I was just like, you know what? Like, this is, like, I speak in Jesus' name.
And no more diarrhea.
And she's like, I ate ice cream that night, and no more diarrhea. And she, like, so simple, like, stuff like this was just like,
yeah, and you're like, wow.
Holy fuck. And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't
I think I've cracked the code.
However, I never actually saw that for myself. And so then...
Or you mean you never cast something out, like diarrhea.
But also, so here's what really first cast the first doubt to your question. My sister at the time was pregnant with twins. and she had some sort of pregnancy that like something popped and like was leaking in where it's carrying the babies. So the fluid was leaking out. So she was put on bed rest, and so she inevitably had to spend the last 3 months on bed rest, so that way like the hole didn't leak out the fluid, so she can still keep the babies healthy. She birthed them. She lost both of them.
Oh, no way.
And she is one of the most spiritual people I know.
Yeah.
And she believes. And so I've already spent the last 6 to 8 months listening to these little frivolous stories about how
I mean,
in Jesus' name, I healed my stuff.
Right.
And I was like, and you're going to tell me that my sister, who is a saint, as far as like, I mean, and she still is. She's still very Christian. She believes 100%.
Right.
And I was like, she couldn't even ask God to like save these babies. And that was like my first seed of doubt. And I felt that. I was like, holy shit.
But what if that was what if it was meant to happen? Like there was a lesson that only.
That's what they always say.
But isn't that the truth? It wouldn't have happened unless it was meant to happen.
Sure. I mean, like that's what they would say. Like
So God's like, I know
God's ways are higher than your ways.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, to the reasoning is like that. When I started thinking about that, I think that actually happened before, but I started thinking about this, and I was like, how are these people having this frivolous healing, and then there's these other really serious ones that just get left behind? What is that? And then that just started throwing a little bit of seeds of doubt. And then I had like never, like a lot of people would talk about the experience of like the relationship. Like some people would be like, I talk to God. Like I talk to him every day. Like we have conversations. I was like, what is that? Like, you have conversations like with this enigma that like, yeah. Like
I think you might be schizophrenic.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I've never had that. And I was like, I've been wanting to have that. I've been wanting to believe, but I've never had that. My whole life, I was very lonely. I was very depressed. And I started like, that's when the seeds of doubt started hitting. So then when I was in Australia, I was like, fuck, dude. And then all this shit started pissing me off about like the healings and all that stuff. And I was like, dude, I don't believe. I'm like, I don't know about this stuff. So I went back home. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. This seems like I'm just like, I don't know, but I'm fucking lonely. I'm depressed. I'm having doubts. I'm scared. I was like, this is all I know.
Right. Your
and
whole
so,
life.
But yeah, so like that, like it just like felt like the pillar started shaking beneath my feet, and I'm
your
like,
whole reality was a lie.
I don't know what's going on. So, and then I moved to California. I met some people who had also exited, and then I'm like, I'm like, okay, let me hear about something. And then it was like the box open when I was like, let me step outside this little box that I like grew up in. And yeah, that was like the journey of me kind of coming out of the cult, if you will.
Sure.
Yeah. It was a long time. I mean, it was like years process. Probably
of course. Still.
I don't really deal with that anymore. Now I'm like slipping back in like a more like, I took mushrooms and I saw this being, and I'm like, holy fuck.
Right.
Yeah. I told my mom and dad both about like some of my spiritual experiences with mushrooms.
Yeah, of course.
And actually, yeah, the last time I was home with my dad, I was like, I just want you to know, I know you think that I've exited and I don't believe in God, but I've met her. And he's like, what? Like, yeah, like I've met her. I've like had an experience with a being that I don't understand.
Right.
But I just want you to know I've seen her. So like, I don't want you to think that I'm just throwing everything away. It's just different.
Yeah.
He's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because who's to say we can't have the same experience cloaked in a different form.
Yeah.
So like hey, even though I'm mocking, I'm just making a joke. Like I don't know at the end of the day.
No.
I know what my own personal experiences, and like yourself, I've had personal experiences that were so fucking profound. I've had experiences that were so fucking shocking, that no matter what I could do, I could never take them back. So no one's word no book that was written by a dude is ever going to be more powerful than the experiences that I've had. And so I believe everything in those books, and I'm trying my very best to act in harmony with the principles in that book. But for me, it's like, hey, I just don't believe in the details or the historicity of it.
Sure.
I can look at it as a metaphor to help me become a better person. Not that it's literal fact. Like if you want to argue literal fact, like I don't even want to waste my time unless you got something real juicy to show me. Other than that, it's like, hey, I don't care what anyone else believes in. I genuinely don't. I know super religious people that are real pieces of shit.
Yeah.
I guarantee there's high level popular preachers that are doing the most heinous shit behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And then there are people that don't believe in God at all that are fucking saints. So it goes back to, if religion really was the absolute word of God, you'd clearly see those people were much better than us degenerates out here.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep fucking walking one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And if I'll tell you what, if that motherfucker comes floating out of the sky on a silver surfboard, I'm the first one at his feet saying, dude, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Teach me your ways.
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting for a fucking alien mothership where Jesus Christ, something that's super extraordinary.
Yeah.
For me to be like, damn, because what else is there really to do?
There's this like thing that at least the religion I grew up in, I think there's some others, but one of the things that's really frustrating is the idea of like eternal punishment.
Right.
And I don't really know how to wrap my head around why they believe so heavily in it. Like my dad, I remember this one Christmas I went home and my dad was telling my nephews that are like 5 and 7, like, do you know where you're going to go where you die?
What?
Yeah. It's so heavy. Like, and that's
so heavy.
And that's like how most of my like all of it was like, yeah, but avoidance of hell.
Yeah. So your dad takes you to Dairy Queen one day when you're 5. He goes, you know where you die. You're looking, you know when you die, it's going to fucking suck if you don't do what I say.
Here's the icing on the cake. My dad wouldn't take us to Dairy Queen because he owned his own ice cream shop. So he would take us there and then say that.
Yeah, exactly. You want 1 scoop or 2, kid? You better take 2 because it's going to suck for you.
If you don't give the right answer, you're paying for this.
Yeah. You're paying with your soul.
So like, and obviously I told you my dad's like way more gentle now, but like this was a thing. Like, and it's not just my dad. This is like how the church.
Of course.
So like the fear of hell.
Yeah.
And so this idea of like eternal punishment, I'm like, where did that come from in this like religious, like, because most religions point to a few really good rules. Like,
yeah.
Like you were talking about, like no, like don't be jealous, don't, pridefulness is, all these things, but they use those as an extreme, and then they're like, if you don't do this, you go here.
It's ultimate leverage, eternal punishment if you don't do what we say.
Yeah.
And with no one to question, because there was no fact checkers. Up until the Guggenheim Press, no one could read. So you were getting God's word from the church.
Yeah, and they were just like, we'll tell you what you need to have.
And so even for your dad and even his dad, you've seen things on the internet your dad will never see. You know things your dad will never know.
Mainly Debbie Meets Dallas.
Or 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite.
Also, the only reason is because he still doesn't have the internet.
He doesn't?
He doesn't have the internet in his house.
Whoa. That even more lends to my point.
But he should see 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Of course he should. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's a classic.
And it's a classic.
Okay, let me finish this because I got to tell you. I got to tell you my skit for 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Okay. But so imagine this is like data. You can either accept it or you can reject it.
Yeah.
So like we come from a generation where, like you were saying, we grew up in the 80s, which was the beginning of technology, like mass explosion of technology. Then the 90s with the internet. Like, I was on the internet for 5 years before my dad was ever on the internet. So I had a 5-year head start on that information that's like a software update, like for your phone. It's like your dad never got the data for a software update.
Yeah.
So he's still believing in these old ideas, thinking that they're true because he has got no new data to even question that authority. So he's like, dude, I'll die for this because nothing has come along. And I think even if things did come along, most people will die. They're like, I'm not, no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm not changing.
No, it does happen that way. Yeah. It's like, have you ever heard the like with medical knowledge, like new medical evolution doesn't happen until the old generation dies off?
Man.
Have you heard that like kind of theory?
No, but I can see it in every working.
So like this, and I don't have any specifics, but I've heard this in a lot of like when they talk about medical research and like something that is groundbreaking medically. Like the old information is like, okay, we have discovered, like say a doctor or like some like scientists have discovered in their 30s this groundbreaking thing. Or like, okay, so this is the thing. So then they carry that for the next 30, 40 years.
Yeah, damn.
And so then when a new scientist comes up and they're like, hang on, like
here's the solution.
Here's
it was so obvious.
But they're like, no.
Right.
That goes against our system that we've discovered. 100%. So they like, and no matter how hard they try to prove it, it will not work until these guys die. And these guys are allowed to like, hey, so now that they're dead, look at this information.
Right.
So that does happen quite a bit.
I see it happening in everything, in politics, in religion, in science, in all those things. Yeah, we're just waiting for these old people to die because they're unwilling to accept new information and change their ideas.
Dude, that's actually one of the things that I learned this with music, but I want to like, it's like a principle I want to hold to. I was like, I don't want to be an old person that holds on to this idea. And I learned when I was a kid, I was like, well, more in college, but I'm like, I like this rock and roll. And I remember like older people who liked rock and roll from their day was like, what the fuck are you listening to?
Right.
This is not music.
Right.
And I remember people saying that to me.
This is not music.
This is not music. And I was like, dude, this is the best.
Right. Nirvana.
And I was like, I will never be the person to say that.
Right.
And then I remember like as I get 29, 30, I was dating this like 23-year-old. She was listening to some music and I was like, this is not music.
Mumble rap or something.
Slipped into, no, it was before. It was like, I forget exactly what it was. I think it was the evolution of electronic. And I was just like putting my heart and soul into like playing guitar. And I watched some DJ being like, boop, boop, boop. And I was just like, this isn't what live music is. And I remember resenting it so hard. And then I remember like, as I slipped into like a angry nature of like, fuck this genre.
Right.
And then I remember thinking like 2 years later, I was like, holy shit, you are becoming that person that you said you wouldn't be. And so I've like tried to open myself up. I'm like, dude, just listen.
Right.
Just listen. Learn. Like, because there's new information and guess who's discovering it? The kids. Like they're growing up, they're learning something that you didn't know. And like, especially with like art and music, I'm like, do you want to be that old timer when you're 50 and be like, that's not art when I was a kid? I'm like, no, I don't. I want to I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to keep evolving. So I was like, ooh, that was a good learning lesson. I almost slipped there. Ooh.
Yeah, no, I found myself slipping into that same thing. And even music, like those tones, let's use electronica for example. Those tones weren't around when the Beatles were playing.
Yeah.
That's information.
Yeah.
It's data. Fucking, I know you have felt the energy behind music. That's fucking data.
They didn't have that at all.
Yeah.
No.
But anyways, back to the last skit.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to make a skit of the behind the scenes of the hiring the 2 girls for 2 Girls 1 Cup. Okay. So I'm the CEO behind just a grease bag. You know, you got a mountain of cocaine in front of you. I got these 2 bitches in front of me. All right, girls. The reason why we got you here today is we got this new it's real radical. You know, we're really ahead of our time here. We got this idea for a video. It's called 2 Girls 1 Cup. Okay, here's how it's gonna go down. Okay, you're gonna take a shit in this cup. Okay, and then you're gonna drink this shit. You're gonna eat the shit. Okay, and then you guys are gonna go back and forth making out and throwing up on each other and stuff like that. So here's what we'll do. I'll give you each $100 and you get all the cocaine you want. What do you think? And they're just a couple just dirty Debbies. All right, you got a deal.
Yeah.
And then they're fucking signs the contracts. 2 Girls 1 Cup. Because the way that thing just opens up, the beginning of the because I've seen it. I made everybody in my office watch it. I was recruiting people. I thought it was hilarious.
To be fair, I will full honesty, I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't? No. Oh, we're watching it.
No, I don't want to. It's more of a bit now. I don't want to watch it. I know what they do.
Oh man!
But at this point, I have not seen it long enough that it's gonna go with my image if I don't ever see it.
Oh dang it, man! However, it's good.
I believe you.
It's.
I'm gonna give you one caveat. I like a lot of your skits. This one has been done.
It has.
Amy Schumer did it.
Oh,
and I don't know if she did. I don't know if she did exactly like it. Yeah. But you should look it up because maybe she did different. Because I liked it. Like I think it's a great idea. When she did it, I was like, oh, that's good. Like the behind the scenes.
Yes.
Like she did the casting couch.
Exactly, the casting.
And
that was
she
the word
was
I was
actually
looking for.
One of the girls. She's like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah, yeah, because one of them killed themselves.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my god.
So it's like before they were famous. 2 Girls 1 Cup before they were famous.
I had heard I had heard that they didn't use shit, but
I mean,
apparently
I've seen it. It's coming out of her butt.
Also, if she killed herself, obviously you wouldn't kill yourself.
Oh, I mean, the shame, I'm sure.
I mean, to be fair, this would be good because I have a very casting couch looking couch.
Oh yeah,
like we could film this pretty well. But
we should then, just for fun.
I feel like we
just for shits and gigs.
If we were to do it, you should look at the Amy Schumer one, and then we do a different take on it.
Yeah, so it's totally different.
Yeah, you have because a lot of comedy sketches have been done in the past. You just have to have your own take.
Right.
So as long as you do something
different, unique. Yeah. Gosh, I gotta find that.
Yeah. I gotta pee one more time.
This is probably perfect. It's 9 o'clock. I gotta bounce.
Oh yeah, we should probably bounce. Yeah, let's just bounce.
Dude, I gotta find this. What? I've had this idea for.
Dude, that's crazy. I'm a little nervous. Hold on, I'm gonna pee. I'll be right back.
That this didn't work?
Then we'll wrap up. Yeah, dude. I didn't mean to bust your bubble. But
about what?
The whole bit.
Fuck, dude. I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't give a fuck about her.
I think you should.
She got canceled.
Did she? I just heard she wasn't funny.
Yeah, that's real. She canceled herself because she's just not funny.
Dude, I heard Amy Schumer in New York before she blew up. This is like my most hipster moment, but this guy was on Times Square. It's like free comedy tickets, and like me and my brother were like, yeah, cool. I'm like, yeah, just come here. You have to buy 2 drinks, the typical spiel. We went there, and Amy Schumer was like just doing a show. Yeah. And then like a year later, she showed up on the roast of Homeboy, and then just blew the fuck up. And she had this bit about like fucking this Mexican. This is like the only thing I remember from her bit. And she was just like, yeah, like I was fucking this Mexican and blah, blah, blah. And then he came on my back and she was like, who's the wetback now?
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, shit.
Pretty good though.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Dude,
self-deprecation.
Thanks, man.
No, thank you. That was so much fun.
Nobody.